Hi there, and welcome to my latest video where I'm going to be talking about the full moon. This is the June 27th full moon in Capricorn. It is exact at 9:52 p.m. Pacific time, 4:52 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. This is Molly, and I appreciate you tuning into my channel. I also have a weekly podcast where I talk to you about the intuitive energies of astrology for each week, and I receive different visuals. We do different exercises. We go through the energies and what's happening with the planets. But please check out my weekly podcast. It's here on YouTube, and you can also find it on Blog Talk Radio and iTunes. I've been doing the podcast since 2012. It's had hundreds of thousands of downloads, and it's my way of helping us all navigate these energies as we increase our consciousness and we increase our own personal awareness in order to be better humans on this planet. So if ever there was a time to remember that, it would be this full moon in Capricorn, because it's not playing around. This full moon is happening when the sun is at 6 degrees of Cancer right here, and the moon, well, she is at 6 degrees of Capricorn, conjunct Saturn, who's retrograde in Capricorn. If ever there was a time for slowdown, this is it. The end of June, these last few days in June, the moon in Capricorn, conjunct Saturn in Capricorn, is saying to us, friends, stop. Take a break, breathe in, and connect with your path. Connect with where you're going. This is a time of understanding what you can do and to focus on how you self-manage. Self-manage. Now, Capricorn is the energy of the CEO, the authority. It is the father figures. It is the one in charge. And we all have this energy in our charts because we are all working on the self-mastery theme. And this is the energy of this full moon. It's looking at yourself and taking a good hard look at your responsibility, your discipline, your expertise, and where you're going on the path ahead. Now, this is every time we have this Capricorn full moon, we're basically checking in with our New Year's resolutions or intentions. If you chose a certain word for this year, that's what this full moon is asking you to do. What has transpired for you since January? And you're doing an emotional checking in. Now, Saturn is the energy of stop, of slowdown, of challenges. To be honest with you, this could be a full moon where you feel emotionally heavy or stuck, depressed, or defeated. These are all the temporary experiences, however. And you could have a check-in point at the end of June and you realize you're not as far along as you thought you would be this year, or in your life, or in your career. Wherever this 6 degrees is in your chart of Capricorn is your reality check. And it's an emotional reality check. And that's why we feel the heaviness. And so honestly, you could feel depressed. You could be like, I thought I would have so much more than I do right now. You know, we don't talk about these kinds of things in our world, especially with online and social media and everyone's fabulous life and everyone traveling to all these places and, oh, they're so successful and, oh, they have all this stuff going on for them. Well, don't believe everything you see, because there are parts of all of us that are struggling, that have something we want. We have unmet expectations. We have parts of our lives that we thought would be different. I mean, do you remember back when you were a teenager and you had your life mapped out, right? And you're like, oh, when I'm 24, I'll have this. When I'm 28, I'll have this. When I'm 36, this. Like, you think you know how it's going to unfold, and it doesn't do that. It doesn't go that way. And you can think you made a wrong turn. Like, this is the kind of connection here where you personalize it. And you think something's wrong with you. And you think you made a wrong choice, or you're not good enough, or if I worked harder, or this, right? You go into all this self-doubt. Now, these are the lower forms of Capricorn. But Capricorn is such a gift for us, my friends, because it reminds us of our own inner strength. That life is a marathon, not a sprint. That there are many mountains to climb. There are many opportunities to reach your goals, to aspire to something bigger and better. And what can you do to take control of your own life right now? So you look at what has not happened and you say, okay, that's how the cards fell. That's how things unfolded. Got it. Great. Good. Going forward now. It's that kind of practical reality check where the sun in Cancer will be sentimental, emotional, personal. It'll feel big. It'll feel big. And this full moon is asking you to understand that sometimes we have to put ourselves into a different, okay, I'm getting this image here as I'm speaking. It's sort of like your life compass changes and you're off in a different direction. And that's not wrong. And the other direction wasn't right. So can you accept what is? This full moon is asking you to accept what is, accept how far you've come, what you've done, the work you've done. I mean, I know there are people, many of you, you've had struggles, you've had hard times, you've done a lot to get to where you are. And some days it can feel like you're still struggling and you're still dealing with the same challenges. But in a way, you're not, because you've already shifted and elevated to a higher level of understanding and consciousness. And this full moon is showing us more about what's in our heart and understanding that when we apply the hard work and the discipline and we keep showing up, we make progress, emotional progress. We get stronger. And that isn't in an emotional way. Capricorn is not an emotional energy. It's matter of fact. It's about the present and the road ahead. So you drop what did not happen and you come back to focus on right now in your presence and where you're going next. Now, this full moon has the same T-square as the new moon that I just shared with you in the June 13th Gemini new moon. So isn't that interesting? We're dealing with the same insecurities, but now it's the sun who's here. Mercury was here last time, but now it's the sun and the moon who are engaged fully in this T-square. And it's the energy of insecurity. Now, Chiron is the parts of us that say, well, who am I to do that? And what do I know? And you doubt yourself and you doubt your place at the table, if you will. You doubt your gifts, and all of those doubts and vulnerabilities are showing you what you have to heal. So you see where you're insecure, and then it's so clear because you say, okay, that's where I've got to do the work. That's where I have to accept myself, accept how I'm different, accept how I'm special. And so Chiron is only at 2 degrees of Aries. So he just moved into Aries and he's feeling it out. And I get the image of a brand new baby deer that's learning to stand. And it feels vulnerable and it's not strong yet. And it wonders if it has the strength. And this full moon is highlighting for you where you're developing strength in yourself. And so if you don't have it right now, you will, because now you're aware of what this is about. There is discomfort with this full moon. There is a sense that you want to get something going, because this is the cardinal signs: Aries, Cancer, Capricorn. Let's start it off. Let's kick it off. Let's move something forward. And then there's stall, stall, stall. I don't know if I can do it. Maybe I need to do this energy, the sun in Cancer. it has the best of intentions. It's a loving heart, and it has a beautiful ideal, if you will. But then it reaches the reality of Capricorn, which is more of the hard work and the understanding that you've got to put in the time to make something real and to make it happen. So there's a lot that wants to get going. And you think, well, is it ever going to happen? What can I do to get this started? Well, guess what? We have some good news here. We have Jupiter, 13 degrees of Scorpio, and he's going to be stationing direct in July. And so this is where Jupiter is going to be hanging out for a little bit here at 13 degrees, which makes him trine Neptune at 16 degrees of Pisces. Now they're both retrograde, so that means you're doing something internally. And these two together, they're both water signs. They're both about transformation and letting go and intuition and trusting yourself even more. Now, Jupiter at 13 degrees is actually starting to make this solid trine to the sun. Okay, now the sun is going to move forward and Jupiter's hanging out at 13. So the sun is on the approach to 13 degrees of Jupiter. And that means that your ability to trust is going to link up in 1 week, a week after this full moon. The sun is then at 13 degrees, links up with Jupiter, who gives it that big burst of power, and then links up with Neptune, which is the trust and the intuition and the bigger dream and where you're going next and what you want and your ability to surrender. And so what happens is that a week after this full moon, something clicks for you. Wherever this sun is in Cancer, and it clicks in a way that you have a renewed sense of trust and faith. And so this full moon can feel like a stop sign. It can feel emotionally heavy. But it's a reality check that makes sure that you're still moving forward with mindfulness, okay? And that you're aware of who you are now, and you're aware that we can have a lot of 5D energies, but we have to bring them to the 3D. We have to integrate them into the planet and into the earth. And how are you doing that? And are you doing that? So I see this full moon as a checking in point of what you're bringing back to offer out into the world, and to know that sometimes that takes a different form or a different shape than what you previously thought it would. Now, the other thing we have going on here is that we got our dude here, Mars. He is stationing still to go retrograde. And he's at 9 degrees of Aquarius. He's stationing, actually stationed on June 26th. And he's going to be retrograde until the end of August. 2 months till August 26th. So he goes backwards to 28 degrees of Capricorn. Every one of these every one of these moon charts, I talk about Capricorn. So hopefully you're understanding the importance of Capricorn for all of us right now, the importance of doing the work and being our mature adult selves, of the responsibility, the discipline, everything that goes into the self-mastery energies. So that's important here because Mars stationing retrograde is a slowdown energy. And he's hanging out conjunct the South Node. And the South Node in Aquarius is helping you clear out former visions, dreams. It's saying that some things have to go because now you're following your heart at a whole new level. That's the North Node in Leo. You're bringing in new confidence and courage to just be yourself without worrying about what everyone else thinks, what everyone else is doing, to not tune into social media so much, and instead to follow your inner guidance and your heart compass. So this full moon is asking you to be more solid within yourself. And that sometimes that means you go it alone. And that's what Capricorn does. You go it alone because it's what you want. It's what you're here to do. You have a sense of purpose. You have a sense of, this is how I am going to really amplify and use my mastery. And if you're stuck, if you're feeling hard on yourself, if you're feeling like, again, you're not as far along as you thought you would be, please be kind to yourself. The sun in Cancer is about our kindness, our own inner safety, our own inner sanctuary, the abilities we have to be our own mother and to care for ourselves. So you're asked to be your own mother, to be your own master. And in a week's time, when the sun has moved forward into 13 degrees of Cancer, the sun is going to link up with this combination, and there's a renewal that comes forth. It's a great time for intuitive development, for trusting yourself, and for listening. So know that this is just a moment in time, even if it's hard, even if you feel insecure, your insecurities are triggered, you're just feeling down. I mean, I offer this because the way that I teach, friends, is through reality. And there's a lot of, spiritual unicorns out there. And I connect with people who understand that life has all complexities in it, and that we're always, in process. We're always transforming and growing and learning. And we have the highs and we have the lows and we have the struggles and we have the wins. You have your victories. But I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you because I respect you. And when you respect yourself, you can honor who you are in all of your energies, right? All of you. Like, there's no need to put any parts of yourselves on the table, on the shelf, or to take it off the table. Like, when you respect yourself, you honor all of you. And that's what I do with my clients. I've talked with many clients who have just had a hard year. And they're going to get through it, and they're badasses, and they're going to get on the other side of it. But when you see that someone is struggling and you respect them, you're honest with them and you validate them, and you understand that it's okay to feel that way at times. It's not going to last. It will shift. It always does. It always does. So please have faith in yourself. And that's what the sun in Cancer reminds us, is to actually have trust in yourself. Are you trusting yourself? Are you caring for yourself? This is the sign of self-care, emotional self-care, your emotional inner world, how you tend to what you need and take care of who you are with healthy boundaries, without relying on anyone else. So it's a very interesting full moon. It might not be a full moon where you feel rainbows, but the rainbow shows up after every storm. And if you're having a hard time, you're not alone. You're going to get through this. And these types of energies actually really support you. Even if you can't see it in the moment, you'll see it in hindsight. You'll say, oh, that's why I felt that way, or that's why I was stuck, because divine timing was working behind the scenes, and that divine timing is going to line you up with something even better that moves you forward, that restores your faith, and that restores your ability to trust yourself. All right? So just know that these things happen at times, but it never lasts for long. And after this full moon, we are going to start into eclipse season. First eclipse is on July 12th. I'll be back with a video on that. We have 3 eclipses this summer. And so it's going to be quite dynamic. And it's meant to change things, to shake it up, to move it around. Eclipses are about our evolution. It's making sure we don't stay stuck. And at a soul level, it keeps you moving forward, ready or not. So I'm excited to talk with you about these 3 eclipses that are coming up. Again, I have a weekly podcast that I hope supports you and helps you. We have awesome listeners, thousands of people around the globe listen to the podcast. So please listen in if you have a spare moment. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate your subscribes, your likes, and your comments. I try to respond to every comment, and I hope that you understand that everything is always working in your favor and everything else is just a temporary illusion. I'll see you back here soon.